on the hosting side, really for us, it's a few things, right? So there's the terms so on the site, you can kind of search and sort for different criteria, but at the end of the day, you're looking at the terms that the hosting operator is going to provide you, right? So what is your deposit requirement? What is basically what is your all-in cost to actually get mining with them? And what is their power rate? So that's kind of the core piece is pricing. And then after that is really the quality of the service, right? So we have a couple things that we can do. So we have a review system. So a lot of different users and other miners in the industry are actually reviewing these hosting companies and giving their, sometimes poor opinion of some of these operators and sometimes great opinion. But we've built a full review system, which we need to do better on making sure that we're getting more information out of those reviews. But right now it's like the only place you can go to find kind of a real opinion of these operators. So we take into account the reviews, we look at pricing and the contracts. We actually review some of the contracts with some of our groups. And then kind of a subtle one is I want to meet the operator face to face, kind of whether it's in person or over video call, just kind of get to know them as a person, as an operator, what their background is, what got them into mining. You can kind of tell a little bit about who is, I wouldn't say in it for the right reasons, but who kind of knows their stuff and who's, maybe trying to pull one over on you, right? So then I think on top of that is we for some of our groups, we actually go through and do due diligence on their corporate entity. So we make sure that, they're registered in the US, you can do business with them. There's, they're a taxable entity. We check this with, different bodies that they might have to register with, just to kind of have a body of trust that we're trying to build over time. So yeah, that's kind of our model, at least right now. We're getting better at vetting, and over time, the idea is we want to be a one-stop shop for folks trying to deploy ASICs in the space to do it in a trusted way, right? Not have to worry about, if I send this guy a pallet of S19s, are they even going to get plugged in, or is this guy just going to run off with my stuff because it was a good rate and that's what I was attracted to? So.
No, one of the cool things about the review system in like a Bitcoin mining standard is when you have like reviews, like Yelp or something, it can generally get toxic.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like feeding into people who are the loudest, whether it's high praise or high criticism. And the difference that I find when people like go on to Telegram and communicate their frustrations in the Bitcoin community and the mining community specifically is people aren't so willing to just like pick up on your perspective of it. So by having a review system, it's not like you're just looking for the place with the highest review. Like you just want to hear people communicate about their experience, because a lot of the times people just might not get exactly how hosting works. And there's a lot of people coming into Bitcoin mining with this mentality like it's like a legacy kind of institution where things are very clear and laid out, and there's legal repercussions if that's not the case. So I feel like just by having the review system, you can also get an idea of the intelligence of the people who are reviewing, as well as how nitpicky are they versus like what is their background into mining.
No, it's a great point. So I think the review system, it helps in a lot of different ways. There's one that's obvious where, all right, I want to maybe work with someone who has generally high reviews, but at the same time, to your point, I want to look at what these reviews are saying. And if these people if it's clearly spam, we have systems in place to try to flag spam reviews. And if it's kind of if people reviewing themselves, which interestingly enough happens, you wouldn't expect it, but I think the bigger factor is what we've started to see is you have customers, users of Hashbranch who actually have reviewed multiple hosts because they work with multiple hosts. A lot of these miners who are into the hosting game, they're more mature. They don't generally like to have all of their eggs in one basket, if that makes sense. They might like to have a hand-picked selection of 3 or 4 hosts that they really trust and they work with. What's nice about that is now that user kind of has their own reputation against the host, right? So if I'm a someone who comes to Hashbranch, and I've actually hosted with 3 or 4 different groups, I can leave reviews. Well, now my user profile has 4 reviews of places that I've worked with. So when I want future hosting, I'm a little bit higher quality of a customer, or I might be maybe not higher quality, but I'm a lot less of a flight risk. Like one issue that we get with operators is people contacting them and just not even really being interested. They're trying to sell something, or they're just trying to waste their time, right? So that's kind of another factor that's emerged out of the review system.
Mm-hmm. I do like, I remember you were showing me the website earlier at the conference, and I did like the one little like widget you guys have put in there that shows the uptime percentage of the hosting facility. I think that's huge, and I think it's also, you know, it's ingenuity. It's a good touch, and I wanted to give you a little bit of time to speak about that.
Yeah, no, so the idea behind our verified uptime product is like I mentioned, we have a hand-picked group of hosting companies, and we are expanding this to more, but right now we have just a few who we've done even more due diligence on than the average, and we've actually kind of gone above and beyond to, like I mentioned, verify their entity and all these things. But what we really do, that we pride ourselves on, is we actually send them our own ASICs. We send them ASICs that we own, we've purchased them kind of brand new, so they're not, you know, lousy models. Mm-hmm. We send them, and we actually document everything that we go through to get an ASIC online with these guys, right? So we've got, you know, sent ASIC on this date, arrived on this date. This is when it went online. This is how they communicated with us. These are some screenshots of how they brought it online. And then finally, we actually pull the live data and display it on their listing. So you don't really have to take our word for it. You don't really have to take the host's word for it in terms of their uptime. The data speaks for itself, and we pull that data directly from the pool. And so what that means, you know, again, for your audience who might not know, the pool is basically, we're pooling our hash rate together with thousands of other miners to get a more or a less variable payout for the Bitcoin that we mine. And so because we're pulling our uptime data from the pool, we can't really spoof that, right? This is out of our hands. This is really just what the pool is saying you're hashing. Mm-hmm. So we pull that data into the listing and we display it. And, you know, I'm proud to say that our top 3, you know, our 3 premium verified groups that we've got on there and growing are over 97% verified uptime, right? This is actual data from actual machines, and they're sitting above 97%, which is pretty awesome.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and you don't have to take their word for it, right? The data's there. So.
Yeah, and I can see how that, you know, you guys keep growing on that. That's going to be extremely promising. Yeah. In the world of Bitcoin. People love numbers.
Yeah.
So the more analytics you're able to provide, more charts and ups and downs, the happier we are.